On the West Coast, I got to tell you this, it's just to die for. Whole contingency of CTK crew on the West Coast having a Zoom viewing party to close the kitchen together. Can we discuss the awesomeness of this? If you want to know about this, get in our Facebook group. There's a whole post about it. I can't even be helpful because I'm on the East Coast. You know what I mean? Hi, Kim. Hi, Josh. Love you. So anyway, if you're a West Coast person, there have been so many West Coast people talking about this. Like, I really want to be with a community when I'm watching this together. Well, guess what, West Coast? You're in luck. There's a whole party going on. I mean, if I didn't go to bed at like 9:30 East Coast time, I might just want to pop in and show up. But usually I'm like literally like we close the kitchen 8:45 East Coast time. I'm like wash face in bed sleep. You can read Breaking Up with Sugar, my book, but I talk a lot about sleep in there. I think sleep is so important. And really, really important for sugar. You know, it's so important for sugar too. Like getting tired, all the hormones that come with not sleeping. It's pretty bonkers, actually. Shira! So anyway, let's get to the topic. Hi, I love you. The topic is not hi, I love you, but it is actually true. Hi, I love you. I'm so glad we're all here together. Nice little crew we got going on tonight. So, and you know, we commune at night during this rough time, though it does seem as though there is some reopening going on, not where I am, but around the country, which is, you know, somewhat hopeful. But we commune together because, you know, closing the kitchen is hard when it gets lonely at night, and we look for nourishment and we look for nurturing. And I want us to learn together that we don't need to turn to food to do that. And that doesn't make food good or bad. It means that if you are trying to create a healthy relationship with food and a healthy relationship with yourself, it's easiest done when we have a structured foundation of an eating plan. And usually that eating plan doesn't mean that we like go to the kitchen and eat our faces off. And for many of us, you know, even just a little of the bites, licks, and tastes can really get in the way of our freedom in our relationship with food. So, you know, usually we just have a little chat and we see what comes up. Sometimes we talk about skills, sometimes we talk about concepts. Tonight I want to tell a story. It's not about an animal. A lot of times I have stories about animals, but you guys sure did love that thoroughbred one. Man, I didn't even plan to talk about that. But I do want to tell you, I was coaching a client on Wednesday, and he, so Melanie's been turning to food for the last 2 days. So Melanie, I'm actually going to talk about exactly what you're doing tonight. There's this really fascinating little mental switch that happens in our heads with this, where this really unhealthy behavior, even if, by the way, like, especially if it's just really small, like, you know, we can get on board with the idea that like big destructive binging is like no-go, right? Like we can all like agree, like when we go to the kitchen and we like are downing pints of ice cream or like, you know, putting our hands in the cookies and the chips and like that sick feeling and that wake up with that hangover, like we all know like that's no good. Lori, we all know like that is no good. I don't want to use a judgment term, but we all know like that makes us sick, that makes us feel demoralized, that makes us feel hopeless, blah, 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 blah. Now, devil's in the details. And also, not only is devil in the details. So I treat this client, right? And he says, you know, at 225 pounds is the time where I just can't lose any more weight. So it's sort of like his stuck point. And he's at 225 pounds, and he's doing it totally differently this time. He's breaking up with sugar. He's in the coaching, blah, 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 blah. And so what we were talking about in his therapy session, in his coaching session, was sort of these little teeny insidious behaviors that he was doing, because he wasn't really gaining weight. He wasn't really losing weight. He was just in this sort of stuck point because he was having feelings, because he was nervous, blah, 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 blah. And I want to talk about being all in, because it's really interesting. A lot of we talk so much about these orange light behaviors that close the kitchen. And we talk so much, I do, talk a lot about like these rational lies we tell ourselves, right? Like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, it's just a little Skinny Pop. Skinny Pop is 30 calories a cup. Like, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's just a little this. It's just this once, right? And sometimes those little behaviors actually can add up to really big behaviors and can cause us a lot of distress, right? And a lot of hopelessness. A lot of what you're talking about, Melanie, right? Like, you're turning to the food and you're like, oh, this again. Oh, this again. There are these like smaller level behaviors, and some of you guys are talking about them in the Facebook group right now. And those behaviors actually, they're hard to get out of, right? Because they're not causing you like so much distress. The reason that we're so motivated when we start breaking up with sugar is because we're in so much pain. Like, they match each other, right? But we start to get some freedom. And then we're like, well, I don't know. I do really like the Skinny Pop at night. And I know I'm not like, releasing as much weight as I want to. I know I'm just having like a little bit of extra brown rice here. But like, I know I'm just like throwing like 3 mangoes into my food during the day. Yeah, like I know it's just a little tortilla chip. And it impacts the weight release. And I don't even want to talk about that piece of it. Because what it starts to do is put a little veil over you. And the funny thing, and I'm going to use this word really lightly, but the funny thing about addiction, or the funny thing about like an unhealthy relationship with sugar and with food, is like the false becomes the true, like very, very quickly. And I know this as like a recovering night eater in a big way. And what happens for me, right, or it happens for me when I used to be a big time night eater, is like, the night eating all of a sudden would become like normative. It would just be like something I do. And in that, and this is what you must hear from me, and in that I was able to sort of convince myself that how I felt was okay. And here is the big switcheroo. Here is where you need to get brave, and I need to talk you through this. Because guess how the only way you can know how good you can feel is? By being brave. And by stopping the behavior. So I've gone through spurts in my recovery where I've gone through, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever, of night eating. And then I've sort of come to my senses or gotten brave and said, okay, I'm going to stop night eating now, right? And all of a sudden, like 3 days after I've stopped night eating, I'm like, holy what? I feel about a bajillion times better every morning. Even like when I go to sleep, I feel hopeful, I feel loving, I feel sound of mind. I wake up in the morning feeling like, wow, I'm so esteemable, I'm ready to start this day. But while I'm in the night eating, I'm sort of like, no, I need to do this. Like, this is what I need to do. And so this is very, very peculiar mental twist that happens when you get into these little behaviors, right? And so somebody said in CTK, and you feel free to take credit for it. I did not say this, but what they said, which is really, really true, is this. Being 100% in is much easier than being 99% in. Being 100% in is much easier than being 99% in. And I wonder what that would feel like. Because when you're on the other end of it, when you're on the end where, and listen, if it's like you do a night snack, like, and you've talked to somebody about that, and that's in the depths of your wisdom, like, you go. Like, I ain't one to tell you what to do. I'm just one to tell you what I know, right? Which is, the key to life is personal integrity, my loves, right? And so when you're going against the grain of personal integrity, it's just a rough way to live. Of course you're going to adapt to it. Of course you're going to adapt to it. And so what I said to this guy was this, right? Because he was just doing these little teeny behaviors because he was scared of going into he was scared of hitting his upper limit. He was scared of going into this new echelon of greatness, which makes so much sense. Really, it does, right? Like, oh my God, what do I do when I weigh 200 pounds? Like, this is like, I don't know who I'd be then, right? That's why we have coaching, we have Power Circle, and we have faith, and we have all of these things. But what I said to him, which is what I want to say to you, is that that's what the addiction does. That's what the unhealthy relationship does. It convinces you that this is better. When the truth is that being aligned with your personal integrity and the behaviors that come along with that is better than anything. Literally anything. There is nothing better than being aligned with your personal integrity, most especially as it pertains to your relationship with food. Because your relationship with food and your relationship with self run parallel lines. And there's such an opportunity to be in such a wonderful space with yourself. And, I was talking to maybe I'll talk about this on Sunday. Well, I'll talk to you a little bit about it. I was talking to somebody about this today in a spiritual conversation we were having. And what I said to her was, it wasn't like breaking up with sugar was the space where I was able to make all of my emotional changes. But it was the space where it gave me the chance to do it. Because there was no way I could work on myself emotionally or spiritually while I was deep in the despair of a horrendous abusive relationship with sugar and other food. So get into 100%. Trust me that if you're doing these little behaviors, or if you're doing these big behaviors, Melanie, like what you're talking about, there's such a better way. There's such a better way. Getting all in is the way. And listen, I ain't no Pollyanna. You'll get off the path, but then guess what? You'll get on the path, and soon you'll start to understand, and the off the path will be shorter and shorter, and you'll get on the path, and then mostly you'll just be on the path. You know what I mean? With some small tweaks in between. But if you're in these small behaviors, or even these big behaviors, get brave. Get brave, ask for help, demand more of yourself. You know what I always say? Put oven mitts on your hand and duct tape on your mouth if you have to. It takes 3 days. It really does. First 3 days are the hardest. Always, always, always. But 100% in is easier than 99% in. I pinky swear it to you. I've done it. I'm there. I've done every ideation of this, and this is the best way. Personal integrity is always going to be the best way, my loves. This I promise you. So, yeah, Bernadette saying I don't have to argue with my inner addict when I'm 100% in. It's just a straight no. I love that. I know that negotiation takes so much time and energy, and at the end of the day, it messes with your personal integrity 1,000%. So being in 100% is actually so much easier than being in 99%, my loves. This I promise you. This I promise you. Okay. So I wanted to just tell you that, and I want to close the kitchen with you. So we put our hands on our hearts for ourselves. So we put our hands on our hearts for our beautiful Close the Kitchen community. Put our hands on our hearts for those who are struggling with their food and weight issues. We love them. They're our people. And we put our hands on our hearts for those struggling all over the world with all of the things, right? And then we close the kitchen. Let me see who's closing the kitchen tonight. Sam, close the kitchen tonight. Amazing. Hi, Ted. So good to see you. Bernadette, closing soon. Anna's closed the kitchen. Yay. Lisa's closed the kitchen. Thank you, Lisa. Molly's closed the kitchen. Rachel, close the kitchen. Love you, Karen. Close the kitchen. Diane's closed the kitchen. Susie, Amy, mwah. Oh, Oakland, love you. So needed you always. Thank you. Zach's closed the kitchen. Ella's closed the kitchen. Heather, yay. Sarah, Lisa's closed the kitchen. Crystal's closed the kitchen. Janet, Oakland, amazing, amazing. Kim, 100% closed. I love that. Sharon's closed the kitchen. Diane has closed the kitchen. Ted is closing in San Francisco. Alicia, mwah, mwah. Roseanne's closed the kitchen. Sue, Janice, amazing. And Janice is getting a puppy in 10 minutes. That's even more exciting than closing the kitchen. Emily's closed the kitchen. Melanie, yay. Melanie, get a day together, girl. We got you. Come back and tell us you got a day on 2 days on Sunday. Good, good. So anyway, my loves, Nicole is closing the kitchen also. Nicolene is closing the kitchen. Amazing. So listen, my loves, if someone hasn't told you they love you today, I want you to know I love you very much. I am sending you so much love, so much juju, and you're in my heart always, and I will see you on Sunday. Janice, post those in the Facebook group, the puppy pictures. I want to see them. We love a good dog story in the Facebook group. Let's be real. Love you guys so much. I'll see you on Sunday. Bye. Oh, Crystal, the feeling is so mutual. No worries. Love you guys. Bye.